If you have a three-line profile in human design, meaning you are a 1-3, 3-5, 3-6, or 6-3 profile, and you want to know what that means, then you are in the right place because we're going to go over all of that in this video. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of what the three line represents. We'll talk about what it means to have this as the first number in your profile versus the second number in your profile. And then we're going to go into a little bit about each of the individual unique three line profiles and what yours means. So in human design, the three line is called the Martyr. And the reason for that, it's a little bit of a journey to get there, so just stick with me. I'm going to explain a few things to you first so it actually makes a little bit more sense. So the first thing I would tell you is that the three line is part of what we call the lower trigram or the first trigram of the hexagram in human design. What is the hexagram? Well, it is 6 horizontal lines stacked one on top of the other, and each one of these lines represents one of the profile lines or profile numbers, so 1 through 6. Now, the first three, or the bottom three, 1, 2, and 3, are called the first trigram, and these are all about personal experience in some way. So the second trigram, that's about like externalizing. It's about others in some way. It's about sharing, not the first trigram. The first trigram is all about personal experience. It's about you. It's about you going through life or learning or developing yourself or introspection, whatever. But it's about you. The first line, the investigator, is about digging deep, creating foundations, learning through investigating, basically. Like these are the people who would learn a lot through, going through all the books or looking things up online, falling down rabbit holes, right? But it's about really getting deep into something, turning over every stone. The second line, the hermit, is about natural talent. So these people would develop themselves, and if there's something they're going to learn through whatever feels like easy to them. They're just like kind of naturally gifted at, and they just keep doing it. They envelop themselves in it, they get better at it, and then their talent is something that they use in their lives and they share with the world. Now, the third line is here for learning through experience and experimentation. So people with three line profiles, such as yourself, if you have one, they're here to learn by going out and actually doing the thing. They're really, really good at seeing what holds up and what breaks down when you actually try it in real life. Because the third line is all about what's practical, what's here in the physical reality, like what works in life. How can we navigate what's called the quote unquote Maya, this illusion of the 3D world that we live in. Third lines are here to be really good at that, and they are naturally really good at that because they are drawn to get really involved with it. They're drawn to go out and try it, even if they don't consciously realize that that is the case. The third line is always going to be doing something where it's like experimenting and trying and getting involved and getting their hands dirty. And it's also the way that they need to do things to learn. So, there could be other parts of your chart, like for example, a 1-3, they will learn through investigating, but then there's this crucial aspect to their learning journey where they have to try it themselves to see if it's actually true, if they agree with it, and how that resonates with them. And like in order to actually integrate the information, right? Because with the three line, it's kind of like, okay, great. We have theory. We have things that people are telling me. But what does that mean out in the real world? Like, how does that actually apply? And how can we do that in the most effective and efficient way? Again, this may not always be a conscious thing that the three line is thinking, but it is what the three line is actually here trying to do. It's what their energy is trying to do. So one of the things that the three line is really here for is to understand and learn to manipulate's not really the right word. Again, navigate, use, work through the material world that we all live in. Now, this means a few things about the three line. One, because there's going to be a lot of trying in their life, what comes along with trial? Well, error. There will be many times when the three line feels like it is failing because it's going out and trying something. And sometimes the things you try don't work out the way that you thought they would. But the thing about the three line is there's no true failure for you because the goal wasn't to make the thing work. It was to learn if the thing works for posterity, for other people, for you to use later on down the line. However, it is common for three lines to carry some pessimism with them. And it's understandable. Hey, it's understandable. Yeah, you can get a little pessimistic. I could see that. The other thing this means is that the three line will usually be the first person to try something. So it's not necessarily that they're bringing something new to everybody else, but they are the one who kind of puts themselves on the line consciously or unconsciously because they might just be saying like, oh, I wonder how this works, right? And they are the first person to go forward, the first person to step forward and try it and see if it works. And that is why we call the three line the martyr, because in one way or another, they kind of like throw themselves out there for everybody else so that we can all learn through what they're going through or what they went through. There's something so powerful in that. So these experiences that you have as a three line, they are so key. And the six line is kind of another version of the three line, and I will tell you the same thing that I tell them. Your experience is your superpower. So just never, please, I implore you, please do not look back on your life as a three line and be like, fuck, I should not have done that. There was no point to that. I didn't get anything out of that. You might not see it right now, but in one way or another, that's making you really good at what you're here to do. And I also want to tell you that if anyone ever gives you trouble as a three line, saying like, why did you think that would work? Or laughs at you as you fail, or you're embarrassed in front of them because you look like you stumbled and they're, giving you a hard time, understand that nobody has like the courage and the resilience that a three line does if they don't have a three line. Like they're in truly no position to give you a hard time about it because three lines are on a different level. Like you guys really, you're the martyr. You do it for all of us. And I say this like you guys are out there. You be doing the work. You be doing the work for the rest of us, and I am so grateful. And those little bitches, they could not. A bitch could not go out and do what you're doing. One of those people who's afraid. Like maybe it is another three line. Maybe it's another three line who is just like way too afraid of failure and doesn't understand that that's just part of the journey. Now, if you have the three line as the first number in your profile, you are going to identify with this energy the most of the two energies in your profile. So you will see yourself as the three line. You'll see yourself as the martyr, the trial and error person, the one who's always out there just like seeing what works and doesn't. Maybe you see yourself as failing a lot. Understandable. But something I do want to tell you is that three fives and three sixes, they don't really usually realize that other people don't see them that way as much as they do. So for you, it looks like you're riding a roller coaster in the dark. It looks like Space Mountain. But to them, they don't necessarily see that. They see what you've gotten out of that or like what they are gaining from that. So I just want to let you know that if you feel messy. Now, if you have this as the second number in your profile, this is going to be something that you would know probably is a part of you. And I'd say that at certain parts in your life, it'll kind of you'll become aware of it and you'll be like, oh, I guess I really am like that. I just realized that it became obvious to me. You'll kind of become conscious of it. However, for the most part, people who have the three line as the second number in their profile, they're aware that they have these three line qualities because other people have told them or treated them as if they are that way. So they're like, oh, I guess this is kind of me, right? That's because the first line in your profile is known as the conscious line. So you're most privy to that. Your mind is most privy to that on a daily basis. And then the second line is the unconscious line, which doesn't mean that you're not like entirely unconscious of it, but your mind doesn't really see it on a day-to-day basis as much. So you just wouldn't identify with it as closely, most likely. Now, if you are a 1-3 profile, you are such an interesting profile to me because one part of your profile, the one line, the investigator, is here to dig deep and create a foundation that you can stand on. And the other part's like, let's tear this motherfucker down. I'm gonna burn this disco out. It is here to basically challenge everything that you've learned through your one line experience. So 1-3s are just fascinating. They're the eternal students. That's what I call them. You guys are here to really learn a lot about something and go, okay, I have this. Is it going to hold up in the real world? Let's find out. And 1-3s are just like constantly adapting. And the learning on itself through like book learning or, YouTube videos or podcasts or classes, which I'm sure as a 1-3 you probably listen to a lot of, that's never going to be enough. You're going to have to go do it yourself, which for some 1-3s that can be kind of confusing to them because they're like, I just want my stability, right? Cognitively or consciously you want that, but your body is like, I'm itching to like go see how this works. So for 1-3s, what I tell them is like, it's all making you an expert and authority. And of all the three lines, I'd really say that the 1-3 is like supposed to be some kind of informative authority. So just understand that's all part of the process. Now, if you were a 3-5 profile, so the Martyr Heretic, first off, I love your profile. I have so many friends who are 3-5 profiles. I just love them. I get along with them so well. They're so fun. But the 3-5 profile is really here to learn through personal experience and experimentation what doesn't work, and then externalize some kind of solution or many solutions based on what it is they have found. And they tend to do that with lots of different kinds of people on a grand scale because that's what the 5 line does. It quote unquote universalizes things. So you're going to get something through your personal experience and then just share a solution or how you or make things more effective and efficient for lots of different people based on that. And what's so a little note about the 3-5, by the way, is that both of these lines in one way or another, they challenge how things are right now and can just be seen as a little destabilizing and polarizing, which doesn't mean that you're not a lovely person to be around. Again, some of my best friends are 3-5s, but it does mean there's a little bit of this like burn baby burn energy to the 3-5, and they do tend to be the people who like challenge things and say like, well, no, we shouldn't be doing it that way, that doesn't work, we need to create a new solution based off of that. Like they are usually the first kind of people to say that. Now if you have a 3-6 profile, you are here to be a role model based on what you have learned through your personal experience, and all 6-line profiles are here to do that, but there's an extra layer with the 3-line. And the other thing to know is that you're always going to still want to get involved and experiment and try things yourself. Like the 3-6 never really quote unquote goes on the roof like other 6-lines do, because it still has this conscious pull to go out and experiment and try new things, or try things in a new way to see if they work. Like it's never quite done with doing that. Same thing with the 6-3, but in a slightly different way. And so throughout your entire life, I want to tell you that like there will get to be a point where you may not see it, other people will see it, but through all of that hard work that you did getting through those first 30 years of your life, holy shit, of that double 3 energy, people will see you as the role model, and they will hold you up as something to aspire to and learn from, just from you being yourself. So along with the 6-3, but I really find that 3-6s need to hear this more. I want you to know that nothing in the past was truly a mistake or a failure for you. Like it is all part of you here, fulfilling your purpose, helping others, being who you're supposed to be, and also benefiting in your own way too. Now, if you have a 6-3 profile, it's going to be similar to the 3-6, but remember the order of the numbers does matter. So for a 6-3, what's interesting is that even though they will go through the first 30 years of their life as a 3-3, just like the 3-6 would, the 6-line, even though it's like experiencing life as a 3-line, it still kind of knows it's a 6-line. My point to this is that the 6-line, if it's conscious to you, like even if you are going through the 3-line experience, like you'll still kind of carry 6-line energy with you, which is the big picture, which is none of this is all actually that serious, right? In the long run, like all is one, all is perfect. And perfection is something that we can achieve. And I am the role model for that. So when you have the 6-3 profile, these people tend to be the ones who go through experiences, but they are a little bit more aware of the fact that it's like, it all comes out in the wash, right? This was a learning experience. Like I have a friend who is a 6-3, and you cannot keep that guy down. Oh my God, he really just rolls with the punches. But just like the 3-6, like they'll never fully be removed from life in the way that like a 4-6 or a 6-2 would be, like after, getting on, becoming the role model and kind of stepping on their pedestal for other people. For the 3-6 and the 6-3, it's a lifelong thing to go through the 3-line process of trial and error. So just don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if you're like, I'm the role model now. Oh shit, what was that? So anyway, that's it for the 3-line. And then if you want to go deeper with the 3-line and with your unique profile in particular, because there is much more to talk about here, I do all of that in my deep dive audios. They are about an hour long, all about your profile, and you can get them down below in the description. I will have a link for you, of course. But otherwise, that is it. Thanks for listening. You rock, and I will talk to you next time.